In 1992, I left college with $8,000 in student loans, $2,000 in credit card debt, no job, no place to live, and an incomplete education. I moved home to start over, and I quickly learned about some of my mistakes. I also learned my situation was not unique, and even today college students find themselves in a similar situation. The project on student debt works to increase public understanding and the implications of student loans. Their analysis of a 2008 study completed by the Department of Education shows that 62% of graduates had little over $20,000 in student loans. Their statistics can be disheartening, but there are some things that you can do. I want to share with you what I've learned through my mistakes, some recent research, and classes that I've taken in financial management. We'll look at 4 key elements of financial stability that you as a college student can use to avoid the situation that I found myself in. They are developing a spending plan, developing a saving plan, avoiding debt, and paying off debt. Developing a spending plan may be a new concept to you as a student. It was for me as well, and I had no experience in developing a budget or managing my money. In an article in Next Step U in 2011, the author Ann Barton says that having a spending plan helps you to avoid borrowing more money than you need. A simple spending plan begins with listing where your money is coming from. As you can see on this slide, in this scenario, the student has money coming from a student loan, grants and scholarships, and a part-time job for a total income of $1,752 a month. Now we can begin to look at expenses. Dave Ramsey, in his book Total Money Makeover, A Proven Plan for Financial Fitness, suggests that you write down everything that you spend for an entire month, even incidentals like buying snacks and drinks. This gives you a better idea of where all your money is going. Then you can begin to list the expenses as this chart shows. The first expense at the top is savings, and we'll get to talking about savings in a minute. Then you have tuition and books, rent, food, utilities, gas for your car, insurance, and entertainment, for total expenses of $1,421. This leaves a difference of $331 every month. You wouldn't know that if you didn't sit down and write out a spending plan. And in this scenario, the student would not need to borrow nearly as much money. You're going to need to review your spending plan and make adjustments as you go along. Once you have a spending plan, you need to look at a savings plan. Cameron Huddleston, in Why You Need an Emergency Fund and How to Build One, in Success with Your Money, quotes a financial planner, Jan Dolan Rigger. Saving is a function of discipline. Even saving a little develops a discipline that can save your financial stability in the future. Dave Ramsey recommends a $1,000 emergency fund to eliminate potential debt if something happens to you or to your car. Savings also helps to establish yourself after graduation in the workforce. And savings allows greater returns later in life. Look at this next slide at the graph of 2 individuals who start saving at different ages. In financial planning for the next decade, Doug Wheat breaks down the differences. In this slide, it shows a 25-year-old that started saving $1,000 per year at 5% interest. And by the time he reaches 65, he has $133,880 saved. But the 35-year-old that starts saving $1,000 per year at 5% interest only has accumulated $74,083 by the time they reach 65. That's a difference of almost $60,000. This shows you how important it is to start saving early. Now that you've seen a spending plan and a saving plan, let's discuss avoiding debt. As Don Roth states in the magazine Careers in Colleges, don't borrow more money than you need. That applies to college loans as well. As you saw in our example, our student didn't need as much money to be borrowed in order to maintain her monthly budget. As you can see on this next slide, it lists some smart ways to avoid debt that you can find at bankruptcy.findlaw.com. Avoid credit cards. This was one of my biggest mistakes. Avoid the buy now, pay later. Really no different than a credit card. Avoid impulse purchases. Also, avoid overdraft charges. Keep your checking account in order. And avoid financing to purchase everyday items. Now sometimes debt is unavoidable. Or if you're like me, you've made some mistakes and you're buried in debt. Maybe you feel like the guy in this next picture that had debt that snowballed and buried him. There is a way out. Dave Ramsey explains, begin with stop borrowing money. Then use the snowball principle in a positive way to eliminate your debt. As you see on this slide, begin with the $1,000 emergency fund. Then list your debts in order from smallest to largest. Start with that smallest bill. Tag it and pay it off. Add the payment money that you were using for that bill to your next bill and work towards paying it off. And in this way, you snowball your payments and make them larger for each bill. While I've learned some of these concepts the hard way, or just not soon enough, you may be able to avoid the mistakes that I've made and set yourself up to be financially stable. Start with a spending plan. Then add a savings plan. Stick to your plan. Avoid debt, and then use the snowball plan if you find yourself in debt. Take these steps now to ensure you are financially stable and avoid financial regrets.